Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here with you. As always, it is April 8th, 2026, 7 a.m. here in Nashville, Tennessee. And good morning. This is a live morning space for artists, filmmakers, musicians, and creators who are navigating the real world of making art. As I always say on this show, we talk about positivity, but we don't talk about that fluffy kind. We talk about what actually stops artists from moving forward, the struggles we all face, and how to move through them with clarity and purpose. We'll also highlight good things happening in the industry, share ideas, suggestions, and practical advice, and most importantly, have honest conversations. As always, this is a live show here in the mornings at 7 a.m. So if you're here, feel free to ask questions, join in. This is a place to reset, get grounded, and start the day moving forward as an artist. And good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well out there. I tell you what, it is a gorgeous morning here. I went to the gym this morning. It was a little chilly, but it was the air felt crisp as I'm driving to my 5 minutes away to the gym, and just felt really good this morning. Felt I went to bed nice and early last night. Early for me, I should say, about 10:30, almost 11. I think I went to bed. Woke up at 5:10 in the morning and ran to the gym, came back, had my coffee, did a couple of answered my emails. Yeah, it's been a good day so far. Very excited. Hope you're doing well and hope you're having a good morning out there. We're going to be talking today about shifting your viewpoint. What the hell does that mean? Well, it's never too late to shift your viewpoint. Never too late to rewrite the story you've been telling yourself about what's possible. What's possible? When you're young, you start thinking to yourself, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can see myself doing this. And somewhere along the line, that viewpoint shifted. You ever wonder what that was? If it was someone maybe suppressing you or giving you some information that's not true? What do you think? So many people carry around an outdated version of who they are, built from past failures, old environments, or limiting beliefs they picked up along the way. But the truth is, your life isn't looked into. I'll start that again. But the truth is, your life isn't locked into those earlier chapters. At any moment, you can decide to see things differently, to recognize that your potential didn't expire just because time passed. Sometimes the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the way you've been looking at it. So it's really shifting that view of what is it that you're looking at, because we learn so many things in life, right? We learn, we're taught this is how it is, and then if we start taking that as the truth, then that becomes your truth. Especially when you're very young. That's why kids are so impressionable, right? They hold on to these things thinking that this is the way it is. So if you are raised in a family of criminals, well, there's a good chance that kid's going to grow up to be a criminal. If you're raised in a house with love and support and work ethic, there's a good chance. Not always. I can't always say always, because I've known situations that have gone the other way for whatever reason. We don't know. That's a mystery. But I would say a good 99% of the time, there's a pretty good chance your child is going to grow up to be loving and caring if you raise it that way, if you're around them and if you give them that type of information. That's what they're learning, right? And it works for them. That's another thing. Is it working for you? Is what you're doing giving you the tools that you need in order to get to the next level, and are you feeling good about it? The life you've imagined, the one that feels a little out of reach, a little too ambitious, a little too not for me, is often closer than you think. What changes everything isn't just action, it's perspective. When you begin to shift how you see your circumstances, your past, and even your setbacks, they stop being obstacles and start becoming tools. The same experiences that once held you back can become the very things that give you depth, clarity, and direction. A new viewpoint doesn't erase your past, it redefines it. And suddenly, doors you never noticed before begin to open. This is the magic. This is the magic. When you shift your viewpoint and you start looking at yourself with the possibilities that you had as a child, or maybe a year ago, or whenever it was that you thought, I'm going to do this. When that viewpoint shifts and you say, you know what, I'm now going to be this thing that I want. I'm not going to try to become it, I'm going to be it. Doors start opening. You start taking action on those things, and then you will have the success, right? It's be, do, have, right? You be the thing you want to be. I hear actors say sometimes, yeah, I want to be an actor. No, no, you are an actor. You want to do more work so you can have the success of being an actor. Be the thing you want to be. Let's say you want to be rich. Well, be start being rich. Behave like someone that's rich. Behave someone that has the knowledge of being rich, and then do the work. Get the knowledge, and then you will have the success. I'm telling you, it is magical. But you have to first look at that first thing, the beingness. You have to carry that beingness of what it is that you want to be. You want to be an actor? I am an actor. Say it out loud. Write it down. I am an actor. I am a professional actor. And then do the work. Be, do, have. Do the work. Do, take classes, study, write, watch movies, watch a lot of movies. And then you will have that thing, that beingness. But you have to be it first. You see, it's not fake it till you make it. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a lie. That's garbage. That you can't fake anything. Okay, you can pretend to be something, and you know what, you are a pretender. No, I'm saying be the thing. Really be the thing. And that's where the viewpoint shift has to come into play. You have to shift it just slightly, you know, and it can be much, much closer than you ever thought possible. And here's the key. This shift doesn't require permission, perfect timing, or a complete reset of your life. It doesn't. It starts internally. It starts with deciding that you know that you're no longer going to measure your future by your past and limitations. So that's the shift. That's the viewpoint shift. Every day you wake up is an opportunity to adjust the lens, to move from doubt to possibility, from hesitation to intention. The people who create meaningful change in their lives aren't always the most talented or the most connected. They're the ones who decide to see themselves differently and then act in alignment with that new vision. You see, they are seeing themselves, they're being that thing. And then they act by the doingness like that thing. You see, be, do, have. A lot of times, especially in the arts, they want to do the work so they can have the success so they can be the thing. Ass backwards. I want to do some acting so then I can have success as an actor and then I can say I can be an actor. No, to ask backwards. Same thing with filmmaking. Same thing with music. Anything that you want to actually do. Now, of course, you can't say I'm a doctor and be a doctor, but you can have the beingness of a doctor. You can have someone who cares, someone who really, really wants to heal people, someone who wants to study maybe nutrition and really help people properly. That's a beingness. You want to be that, and then you do the work. You study, but you could always have the beingness of like, okay, yeah, what are you? Well, I'm a I'm a doctor in training. I am a doctor in training, right? Doctors always they just practice medicine, right? They don't even know it. They just practice it. Just kidding. Um, so I'm gonna give you these five viewpoint shifts, right, to move your towards your goals in a smoother way. Now, these are five that I just put together. These are not written in stone in any way. These are basically tools that you can apply. So if you want to grab a pen and paper at this point, and you can write these down, and I'll give you some examples on each one of how that can be. and how you can utilize that. There's probably 1,000 ways you can do it, and you can probably find some on your own that will work for you. But these are the five that I'm just going to give you here laid out. Okay. So number one is challenge your current narrative. What does that mean? Well, ask yourself, is this belief actually true? Or is it something that I've accepted over time? This is what I talked about earlier, where we learn all these things as children and we, as even as young adults. And it seems like this is the way, this is the truth. But you have to now look at things. Is this true? Can I become an actor at any age or do you have to be young? Well, no, you have to be young. Well, that's what some people would believe, right? Well, that's not true at all, right? There's way more work for actors that are older than young people. I got to tell you, when you go to a casting, or if you're casting yourself, or if you're in the industry and you're in the casting room and you're seeing, there are a gazillion young, good-looking people. There's way more competition there. I mean, you know how many good-looking, blonde, blue-eyed dudes and gals are because they have those attributes, which is great. They look fantastic. They have those things. They're going to utilize that, thinking that that's going to get them the work. And in some cases, it might, but you got to be even more special. You got to be really good. You got to work your butt off to get to compete with in that space. Whereas when you're older, and you have some unique features and you're older, there's not a lot of competition because people who usually get to that age kind of already set their lives, or they've given up on any dreams, unfortunately, right? Hopefully they're watching this and maybe it can revitalize them, but this is what happens. So you have way more, the space is much bigger for those. So there's a viewpoint shift. So change the current narrative. The narrative was one thing, you have to be young. Change that narrative. You say, no, it's not at all, not at all. This is a farce, right? Number two, surround yourself with expanded thinking. What does that mean? Well, engage with people, content, and environments that stretch your perspective, not reinforce your limits. If you got that jerk around you that's telling you, why are you doing this? Why are you why are you trying to make it? You know how hard it is to make. If you have that around you, I guarantee you will not succeed. If you have somebody around you, how much money does it make? How much are you getting paid? Are you getting paid for this? If you're trying to get into the arts and you have somebody around you asking you constantly, how much is it making? I'll guarantee you that you will fail. You will not succeed. You will not pull in anything successful because that energy is draining. It brings you down and you lose your own confidence. I mean, it sucks the life out of you. So surround yourself with expanded thinking by surrounding yourself with people that are exceptional in their thinking. Exceptional meaning that they're confident, that they're encouraging, that they want you to succeed, and you feel it. And they ask you, "Hey, how's it going? Do you need anything from me? Can I help you with anything? That's so exciting! I can't believe you're auditioning. That's so cool. Have a great audition. When you're surrounded by that, that jazzes you up, that energizes you, and you feel really, really good, and you have a much better chance. That's number two. I'm telling you, this is a big one, if not the biggest one. Number three, reframe past failures as data. So instead of seeing them as proof you can't succeed, treat them as information guiding you towards a better approach. So any failures that you've had in the past should just be looked at as information, as things that have occurred that you're using as tools to overcome next time that you run into that, where you're not going to fall into that pitfall. Meaning that maybe when I went on this audition, I didn't study the full script. I only studied my lines. And then they wanted me to go earlier, and I didn't realize that earlier I had some emotional things that I had to go through in the script. I know this for a fact because this happened to me. This is a learning thing. You go to your script early on when you're starting in film. You open the script up and you just look for the character that you're playing. You read the lines, you kind of get an idea, and then you go in thinking that you know what the character is about. How can you know? You didn't read the whole thing. read the full script if you have access to it. If you don't, you have only sides, which are just a couple of pages. That's fine. Read what you can, but make sure you really understand read the whole thing, read the narrative, read the everything that they're telling you that's happening in the film, all the circumstances of the film. Read every single page. That was a learning thing for me, and I realized that now I read everything. It doesn't matter if I have one line or two line or a paragraph. I read the whole script if it's 100 pages, and I know, but at least you have a better idea, and you'll know where you stand in that film. So when you show up, you're like, oh, that's the guy who plays that. That's the guy who plays that. She plays this. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, because you have much more understanding of the full project, right? So that was a past failure. I took that failure and I turned it into a tool. Now my tool is that, okay, I'm going to always read the script. So anything that you have, instead of seeing them as proof why you can't do something, um, treat that information guiding you towards um, success. And you know what? It's worked. I can give you examples. I can't think of one right now, but I can get, actually, I have a few, but anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But I can give you a few examples of when I did treat it that way and got a lot of, actually, the last film that I did, I showed up on set fully prepared, knowing the full script, knowing exactly what the show was about, knowing exactly what everything had to do with my character. And I had a small role in there. It was just a 1 day shoot. And and I did really well. I got really complimented by a lot of people because I knew exactly what the vibe was, how it felt, because I really dove into studying, study. And that was from learning. That was because I made mistakes. Number 4 is visualize with intention. Very important to visualize yourself doing the thing, right? Spend time clearly imagining the life you want. And more importantly, who you need to become to live it. Who do you want to be, right? How do you have to be? How do you have to behave? Like, do you have to, gosh, I mean, if you're a musician, you got to play music, right? And musicians have a certain thing about them. I remember once this happened to me a few times, which I guess it's not boasting. I'm not even trying to say anything, but I remember just being on a set and I was just dressed in the way I normally, just jeans and t-shirt walking in. And somebody said, "Oh, you're definitely one of the actors, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And they were like, "Oh, I can tell you look like an actor." Now, I don't know if that's a compliment or if that's just, I don't know, but whatever it was, the beingness, it stuck with me because I was early on in my career, and I just remember thinking like, oh, I guess maybe I do act like that. Maybe I am. You know what I mean? It was just something that it made me think. It gave me some perspective of how I was being, and I felt okay. I guess I'm being something. And it happened to me a couple of other times as well. Um, so spend time visualizing what is it that you want to be, but what is that? How should that look? How should you behave? How should you talk? Should you talk a lot about it? Should you start a podcast to talk about it? Should you talk a little bit about online? Or should just be maybe just quiet, maybe reserve, maybe read more, do some more reading. How is that? Go for walks or work out or do something that will make you feel more like you're visualizing what you want to be. So, and spend time clearly imagining how you want to look as that person. It really, you have to really understand that element of who you are. So, and the only way to do that is to sit with yourself quietly. There's so much distractions in the world right now. We're being bombarded with our phones, and if you have a family and friends and everybody's has a birthday every weekend, it's somebody's birthday. Especially as you get older, you have more friends and they have kids, and now their kids have birthdays and your kids want to go to their parties, so now you got to coordinate that. There's so much stuff going on at all times that you have to take that time for yourself where you just sit quietly. You don't have to have a screen. You sit. Sometimes I'll pick up my guitar and I'll just strum a little bit, and that'll be my zen moment where I'm visualizing where I want to be, where I want to go, and how am I getting there? Am I pulling away from it? And really just be with yourself. It's like that song Billy Joel, right? Um, you know, either way you wake up with yourself, right? It's like spend time with yourself because you're gonna wake up with yourself. You're gonna go to sleep with yourself. So spend some time with yourself. Are you being good to yourself? There's another thing that people sometimes, they're not being good to themselves. They're not eating properly. They're not exercising. They're not taking vitamins. They're not taking any kind of supplements. They're not going to the doctor if they don't feel well. They're just kind of coffee and whatever they want to eat. Are you being good to yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? It's like you're the only person you got. Don't expect other people to be like taking care of you all the time. You gotta take care of yourself. So that's visualize with intention. And the last one, number 5, is take small aligned daily action. So that means a shifted mindset, which is what we're talking about here, right? A different viewpoint, a shifted mindset becomes real when your actions begin to reflect it. Consistency builds belief. So every single day, move the needle forward in some way. You can watch a film, read a book, read a couple of chapters of a book that you're reading. I'm reading right now a really funny book by Kevin Nealon, one of his earlier books, and I'm having a great time reading that. I'm always reading something. I have my little book here that I always show this on the show here, but this is my guide. This is where I write all my notes. This is where my schedule is. This is where my to-do list is. All the things I got to do, my people I got to call, and have that so you can move the needle forward every day. You don't. Sometimes you look at this. Sometimes I'll look at my schedule and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do anything on my list of to do. So let me look at my to-do list and see. And it takes me like 30 seconds. You look at it, you're like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I'm not going to have time to do this. I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll move that till next week. Work with it. Work with yourself. You don't have to, there's a lot of guys online and stuff that's like, you got to hustle. You got to get out there and you got to do it 24/7. Never rare. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I go to bed at night at 9 o'clock. I have my breakfast, and then there's this whole kind of thing. No, work out a system that works for your lifestyle, for how you want to become, and take small steps every single day. You don't have to take these big steps, but every day you got to take a step forward. If you don't, you're taking a step backwards. Even if you don't take any steps, trust me, it's a step backwards. All right, and that's number 5. I thought I had another one, but no, that was number 5. One, two, three, 4. Yes. So there you have it. I hope this helps. It's really such an important thing to be able to do this. I really feel that, gosh, it's such a challenge with so much stuff going on in the world right now, to try to stay focused on creating beautiful things and creating entertainment. But you know what? It's more important now than ever to do that. I mean, it really, really is. And it took me a long time to really figure out that there's no way that we can not do this. You know what I mean? It's like we have to entertain. We have to do that. Great information. Thank you very much, George. Appreciate you. You have to take the time to really figure out what it is that's going to make you and your family happy. And sometimes it's a lot of challenges and it's difficult, and you can't just snap your fingers and make it happen, but you can definitely move the needle forward every single day. And with the world going where it is, it's a responsibility for us that are entertainers and creators and people that want to make people feel well and feel good about themselves. It's so important. It's a responsibility that we have, and we have to keep doing it, as hard as it is, and looking at what's happening on earth and stuff. And you have to do it. You have to. It's a responsibility. I tell that to artists all the time. I say, don't be selfish. God gave you a gift. God gave you a gift, and here you are not using it. Shame on you. And they don't like to hear it, but it does land really well. So I do like saying that as well. All right, friends, thank you very much. I have a busy day today. Hope you're all doing well out there. Take care of yourselves. God bless you all. I usually play a little bit of music here at the end, but I'm going to wrap it up early because I'm going to run off and do some things. Again, this reruns every night. If you miss it in the mornings, you can tell people they can watch it again tonight, 7 p.m. on other platforms. You can just check the local listings and check my site, and it'll be on there. All right, friends, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. God bless you all. Take care of each other, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.